مرحبا بكم مشاهدينا إلى هذا.
Welcome dear viewers to this special interview with the President of Armenia, Armen Sarkisian. Welcome Your Excellency and thank you for awarding Sky News Arabia the right to interview you. First, I wanted to ask you about the participation of Armenia in Expo 2020 Dubai. How much did your pavilion reflect the different ethnic characteristics as well as the growing technological ambitions of your country?
Well, let me start by giving my valuation to the Expo 2020 and the conference that I'm coming already second or third time, which is Sustainability Week. I have been on several expos in Milan, in Kazakhstan, in many places, but this was physically, this is one probably the best. I think you have created here a fantastic environment that I hope and I'm sure that will leave after the expo. And it is something that have all the necessary features for anybody, but especially for young people. So I hope that this will become a sort of a hub for not only those who live here in Emirates, but also for international youth to come and to grow. You know, I had 4 lives for the moment. I'm hoping for the 5. The first I was scientist, physicist, mathematician. Second, I was diplomat, then became prime minister. Third, I was enjoying my third life. I was free man. I was running my center at Cambridge. I was doing business. Fourth, I'm president. I'm looking for the 5th. But because I was connected all the time also with science and technology, I see the huge growth in this country in science and technology. And several buildings here or attempts or presentations that were representing a country, but at the end of the day, the core was technology. The core was focusing into future, and our future is build a world which is technologically very advanced, because do we like it or we're going that path, but also a future in which is predictable, sustainable. The word sustainable has probably many meanings, at least for me. It's to make something which is predictable, stable, something that doesn't create the feeling of uncertainty. Our world today, in fact, is the other way around. There's a lot of feeling of uncertainty. There are things happening in the world that probably couldn't happen several years ago. There are reasons for that. And some people say that the reason is the COVID. Some people say that the reason, because the COVID, the world has changed. Some people say that the reason is that the international organizations have failed or that they are weaker. Some people say that the world is changing from one polar world that was after the breakdown of the Berlin Wall into bipolar or tripolar and so on, or multipolar world. My answer to that question is that the world has changed because it has changed fundamentally. And I call this new world, as a former physicist, a quantum world. First of all, to emphasize that this world is not the classical world that we knew before. Secondly, we as individuals are behaving now as quantum particles because we are interconnected. We have communications with speed of light. Every person has a second virtual person. There's Caroline or Caroline you and the Caroline virtual, which is your iPad, your iPhone, the image that you create, your Instagram or so there are both of them. And the reality is that the second one is growing faster. Yeah. It's taking over many. So we're living in a very complex world, and that world is the new world, which is the quantum world, is changing the rule of the game. And the rule of the game, let's take how we exercise democracy in many countries. I mean, democracy used to be something that every 5 years people used to go to the ballot box and vote for their MP or for their president, and eventually wait the 5 years, was it good or bad, go and vote again. Now what's happening? People are voting 5 times a day, not every once in 5 years, but 5 times a day on their Facebook. Yeah. And politicians are very much dependent on that. And that means daily voting creates a new environment, new rules of game. And it's opening a door for populism, okay? And because we are fully quantum, we travel a lot, everywhere in the world, be that in Mongolia, in Beirut, here, in New York or Argentina, people go for shopping to big shopping malls altogether, huge crowds. They travel in huge airplanes for hours, breathing the same air. And that's why it's not surprising that you have one COVID case in China, the next one is in Argentina, and it's spreading so fast. Yeah. So the COVID is not the cause of changes. The world has changed, that's why we're getting COVID. And maybe we'll get something else. Now, where is the solution here? Why are we here today, and where's the solution? The reason why we are here is the scientific and technological progress that we are facing. This planet or humanity was going through Industrial Revolution 1 or 2. We learned how to burn wood or coal and make vapor, make the locomotive, and then it creates huge, or we created a computer that creates another revolution. We are living a time of constant revolutions. I call it our evolution. Our evolution means revolution, but R means rapid evolution. So we are innovating ourselves, creating new ideas every day. So the world is becoming very fast, interconnected, and because of that, in many cases, because the evolution is faster than the change of institutions, our behavior, and so on and so forth.
You mentioned more than once and gave several examples about the fact that the world is ever-changing, including in politics. In your opinion, how does that reflect on the region?
Definitely. That's why I just finished a book, which I wrote with my son, which is called The New Quantum World, and it's about the quantum behavior of politics as well. In a sense that the factors that were absolutely secondary, let's say 30 or 60 or 100 years ago, are becoming dominant now. And the way you exercise politics is different. It was probably impossible some 50 or 60 years ago to have a politician who was completely unknown to the public and then becoming known and then becoming a leader of a country in 3 months. There are several examples of that worldwide. But it's not difficult both in Europe and outside Europe. And what is also happening in politics was always going with entertainment. You go back to ancient Egypt, or you go back to ancient Rome. There was ancient Rome, there were gladiators, the entertainment. Separately, but they existed, and the politicians were using the entertainment. These days, entertainment and politics go together. A lot of politicians are politicians because they are good entertainers, and the other ones, some of the entertainers, accidentally they became politicians. So there is, because of the media, the sort of the media, because of your gadget, because people watch this sort of a virtual politics in television series. So there's a mixture in the what's the real, what's the fictional one. And that's why there is this synthesis of real politics and sort of entertaining politics, and they come closer and closer. And sometimes this is what we call also populism. And what is the source of that? The source of that is, again, our evolution, rapid evolution, technology, and the more the technology develops, the more our world will change, how we run our business, how we damage or help our environment and the climate, and how we run our daily business of politics as well. So politics is changing. So welcome to the new world, Caroline. New world of quantum behavior.
What about Armenia's current relationship with its neighboring countries in light of all the crises taking place? And what about the relationship with Turkey and Azerbaijan? And how do you foresee the future?
Well, I'm the president of Armenia, and probably I would like to speak on my behalf, saying that the way I see what is happening now, I would like to look at it from the point of the conference is the Sustainable Week. Sustainability matters. It matters not only in economy, growth, or future of our children. Sustainability matters in politics as well. Probably in order to describe it right, I will just take 2 points. One, I will call it pragmatism, be pragmatic, and create something which is sustainable. If we're pragmatic and thinking of sustainability, of course, you will say that there's no better way of finding solutions in a conflict situation rather than talking. Full stop. And I'm all for that. But unfortunately, in real life, when Armenia and Azerbaijan had a talking platform, which was the Minsk group of OSCE co-chairs, so there was a platform to talk, there was a possibility to talk. Unfortunately, we didn't succeed and we ended up with a war. So the worst case scenario. And here I have to say that the history is very interesting, but also in some its U-turns very unexpected. The first Karabakh war was won by Armenian side in '94. So the Armenian side had 26 years to convert its victory into stable or sustainable peace with its neighbor Azerbaijan. Didn't succeed it. So as a result of that, we had a war. And thousands of young lives were lost. Before the new year, I went to the cemetery where these young heroes are buried, and that's the most difficult thing in your life when you meet their parents of 18, 19, 20 years old boys that lost their lives, where talking, diplomacy, negotiation could have been resolving an issue without these young people losing their lives. So let's see, the war is, there is a ceasefire, there is no full peace, there are negotiations. On Armenian side they are run by the government and prime minister. On the Azeri side by President of Azerbaijan, and Russia is the mediator here, a natural mediator. Will we get a sustainable and pragmatic peace through these negotiations? I hope so. I hope this time, if Azerbaijan is victorious, together with Armenia compromising, they will create a sustainable and stable peace. But that's difficult. You were saying about our relations with Turkey. Again, pragmatism says and sustainability says that you don't have to have any problems with your neighbors, especially with a neighbor which is as big as Turkey and with a neighbor.
That's ideal, but is it easy to...
No, of course not, of course not. And then with a neighbor that is behaving very specifically in Syria, in Eastern Mediterranean, and so on and so forth. So my answer, of course, would have been, I think there is no other way rather than talking. Okay. But, and Armenia and Turkey tried once, recently. It was in year 2009, if I'm not mistaken, October. They even signed a protocol on these sites in Zurich. Even those days I was skeptical. I said this is not going to work for several reasons. And one of the reasons, or two of the reasons, let me make it two, were first of all, in those negotiations, on the Turkish side there was one absentee. That was Azerbaijan. Because Armenia had problems with Azerbaijan. There was no way that Armenia could reach any agreement with Turkey without the involvement of Azerbaijan. That's one. On the Armenian side, there was an absentee, and that absentee was Armenian diaspora. Because Armenian diaspora is mostly a creation of the genocide of 1915. How do any president or prime minister of Armenia goes and signs an agreement without having the support and the
blessing.
Sorry?
The blessing.
The blessing, whatever you call, of your diaspora. Because Armenia is a small state, but as Lebanon, Armenia is a small state, but much bigger nation worldwide. There are as many Armenians living in America and Russia as in Armenia. So, of course, the path to future, sustainable future is negotiations. But these are not simple negotiations between two states about a piece of land or a right of oil exploration in the middle of a sea. This is much more complex because this is in a case that you cannot ignore the history that you went through and the pain that you went through. To give you an example of that sort of a thing, for example, the best example would be, around 2 years ago, I was in Israel. I was at the big conference related to the anniversary of Holocaust. So were the heads of states of Russia, the Vice President of the United States, President of France, Italy, a huge number of people. We all made some presentations, signed books, put the flowers, but I was waiting for the speech of the President of Germany. And to be honest, I think he made a brilliant speech. And that was for me personally the most important moment of that conference. Because after the Second World War, if Germans and Jews or Germany and later the State of Israel would not speak about Holocaust, but try to negotiate something about their relations, would they succeed? No. So Armenian-Turkish relations are of the same type. I think in order to succeed, you cannot close your eyes or ignore the big elephant which is in the room. And I'm not saying that it should be addressed immediately. But it's a matter of how do you negotiate. The beginning, the middle, at the end, but there's no way that you can ignore that. So these are not simple negotiations between two states about a conflict. This is much deeper, like the Germany and Jews, and like Germany and the State of Israel. And I hope one day Armenia and Turkey will succeed. But in order to succeed, we cannot ignore the historic facts. And in order to succeed, we have to be pragmatic, to build a sustainable, stable relations between Armenia and Turkey and in the region. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, the President of Armenia, Armen Sarkisian, for giving Sky News Arabia the right to this interview. Dear viewers, this was all. Goodbye and good night.